guys, I hope you're well. You've got Mr. Everything English here, and in today's video I want to talk you guys through how to write the perfect answer for paper 1 question 4. Paper 1 question 4 is the question about to what extent do you agree, and in this video I want to run through a model answer. Well, I'll do a paragraph. I'll do a model paragraph on how to answer this particular question. Now without further ado, let's begin. Okay guys, so if we look at this extract and look at the question reads as follows. Focus this part of your answer from line 23 to the end. This is line 23 to the end. A student having read this section of the text said, the writer skillfully conveys Tabby's fear and determination of wildcats in pursuit of him. It is as if you were actually there. To what extent do you agree? Guys, first things first, the question says to what extent do you agree? Not do you agree or disagree, but how much do you agree? That's why we always say we strongly agree. Then, if we look at the statement is twofold. You're looking at Tabby's fear, and you're looking at the determination of the wildcats in pursuit of him. So I can look at one of those two. So ideally guys, you want 4 paragraphs, and you want 2 paragraphs about Tabby's fear, 2 paragraphs about the wildcats in pursuit, all linking to the idea that it is as if you are actually there with him. So 2 paragraphs linking back to us feeling as though we are there. Now in your response, you should write about your own impressions. That is your point. Evaluate how the writer creates these impressions. The how is looking at language devices. Do they use similes? Do they use metaphors? Do they use structural devices? And then you support it with quotes. Now I've got my quote ready just to save time. So in the extract it says as follows. Exclaiming in a tone of voice the children had never heard him use before, and which made their blood run as cold as ice. So this is talking about how the tabby cat ran in complete fear, and the fear and the voice that is screamed in, it was a voice that nobody had ever heard him use before, and it was a voice that made the children's blood run as cold as ice. So guys, first thing, exclaiming in a tone of voice the children had never heard him use before. This is a hyperbole. A hyperbole is when you over exaggerate. Yeah, they are overdoing the fear. Second part, and which made their blood run as cold as ice. This is a simile. It is also personification, but we're going to focus on it being a simile. So we always begin with I strongly agree. So I strongly agree with the idea that the writer. Now you want to make sure we use the statement. So the writer skillfully conveys Tabby's fear. That is the focus of this paragraph, but we're not finished yet. The writer skillfully conveys Tabby's fear through the use of hyperbole and simile. So that's my point done. I've got my method in there, and I've made it clear to the examiner what I want to talk about. So I strongly agree with the idea that the writer skillfully conveys Tabby's fear through the use of hyperbole and simile. This, guys, we don't want to waste time. You want to go straight into it. This is clear to see when the writer explains how Tabby's scream was, so now I want to embed my quote, was in a tone of voice the children had never heard him use before. Now I hope you can all see how I have embedded my quote. Yeah, I haven't done a full stop and then put my quote there. My quote reads as part of my writing. So far guys, I've done my point and I've done my evidence. I've done my impression, I've done my quote, I've given the how, but I haven't evaluated the how, and that's what I am doing now. In a tone of voice the children had never heard him use before. the fact that this tone was unusual and unheard of clearly illustrates how Tabby is experiencing emotions which are alien to him. Let me just fix this. The fear, so I'm gonna add a bit more detail. The fear that he feels has forced him to behave out of character, which strongly emphasizes how he is not simply just afraid. Rather, he is fighting for his life. This is further, so I got a bit more detail. This is further emphasized, and now I want to finish off the quote. This is further emphasized when it is explained how his scream. Now I want to embed my quote again. How his scream made the blood run as cold as ice. Now, as you can see, I've got two quotes in the same paragraph. Nobody can comment that I have not written in detail, but we're not finished. Of course, we're gonna finish off our paragraph. I'm gonna explain how his scream made the, let's take away the which, because it doesn't embed properly. His scream, sorry guys, his scream made their blood run as cold as ice. Now, I think the word here, there, is very important, but let's look at all of it. Made their blood run as cold as ice. I want to focus on the simile. There's so many words and phrases and different language techniques I can talk about in this quote, but I don't want to go off task. My focus is the simile. My focus is his blood being compared to, well, their blood being compared to ice. This idea of their blood becoming like ice demonstrates, guys, what does it demonstrate? It demonstrates death. If your blood is like ice, if your blood is cold and your blood isn't flowing, it's like you're dying. Demonstrates how his scream, let's be specific, how Tabby's scream almost, I want to talk about how it went deep, almost penetrated the children deep inside them. It wasn't the hair which stood on end, it was the blood which froze. They almost experienced the feeling of death through the scream they heard. Now, I've explained my quote, I've explained my language devices, I've explained how I agree, but now I want to link it to one last bit of the question, that it is as if we were actually there. Let's finish off, guys. Both of these methods used by the writer strongly make the reader feel as though they are there with the children, because you live the action and the description as it happens. You feel the fear of all those involved. Now guys, look, that paragraph for a 20-mark question is more than enough. This is probably a little bit too much, but this repeated 4 times is absolutely fine. Ideally, you want 3 paragraphs about you agreeing and then 1 paragraph about you disagreeing. So now I've spoken about language devices. My next paragraph, I may go on and speak about structural devices. But guys, look, first you start with strongly agreeing, then you literally explain why, and if you're able to, re-quote and explain further why, and then link it back to the point, link it back to the statement, and then you are done. This is not a hard question. It is just a little bit of a longer question. Alright guys, as always, thank you for watching. I hope this video helps. Any questions, drop them down below. I covered paper 1, question 4, because I think this one is a tricky one and it's the one that a lot of people get stuck on. I want to cover paper 2, question 2, ideally by Wednesday and Thursday. Guys, as always, thank you for watching, and if you're still watching, then I do apologize for the clickbait. I just thought I'd have a little bit of fun. Also guys, on Wednesday or Thursday, I will be doing a live stream on Instagram, so make sure you follow me if you are not following me. Thank you for watching. It's been Mr. Everything English.